You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through.
We're back. Once again, I'm Nicholas Austin Holiday here with
Antoine Jackson here.
and we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into the top 25, the past weekend, and just touch on a couple of games and talk about. We're gonna talk about what happened some, but we're gonna really focus on their next set of games that they have coming up.
Okay.
So we have Ohio State versus Minnesota. Just want to touch on a second. Ohio State versus Michigan State.
Well, I mean, Ohio State with Urban Meyer, he's doing. I'm not surprised at all. He did this. Urban Meyer, first of all, has 2 national championships under his belt. He gave the Gators some of the best teams they ever seen in Florida Gator history. Along with him, also before he even came to Florida, he was a great coach at Utah. So what Urban Meyer's doing at Ohio State, I'm not surprised at all. If they give him a shot, he gets in that 14 playoff, he could be dangerous. A lot of people are trying to say that he shouldn't get in there because he's in the Big Ten. I disagree. If the cards fall out for him to get in there, that's a team just as well as anybody else that can win this national championship. With J.T. Barrett at the quarterback position, you got Urban Meyer coaching him. He knows how to win. He knows how to win. He gets those recruits. You can't deny he has a defense. They pretty much doing what he was doing at Florida. Nothing new over here with that guy.
You know what? A lot of people talk about Urban Meyer and they say, oh, he hasn't developed quarterbacks. Look at Tim Tebow. Yeah, look at Tim Tebow, but look at Alex Smith from Utah.
Right, still in the NFL.
Alex Smith just got a contract extension with the Chiefs, making plenty of money. Plenty of money. Tim Tebow is making money as an
analyst.
Yeah, as an analyst, but whatever. We're going to focus on people that are in the NFL.
Right,
So, Alex Smith, really good quarterback. You know what? I don't know about Braxton Miller. They say Braxton Miller might come back next year. He might not want to do that.
Well, Braxton's in trouble. I mean, Urban Meyer said that he's going to bring Braxton back. He's going to be the starter, but the way JT's been playing at the quarterback position, he's not as flashy as Braxton, but he gets the job done. His accuracy is looking pretty nice. Kid's out of Texas. He knows how to win. So he's a redshirt freshman? Something to that nature. So, I mean, the Big Ten is in trouble. And they haven't just been winning. They've been steaming. They've been steaming.
You can't bench JT Barrett next year. Sorry, unless he has a complete meltdown towards the end of the season, you can't bench him for Braxton. Not after what he's done this year.
I don't see that happening. Braxton, he might have to try to get to the NFL. Right now, I don't know. Like you said, I don't think it'll be best for him to come back to school because it'll be a controversy. Like who's the starter? Which really, he looks a little bit better than Braxton to me personally. He looks a little bit better.
As a pure passer, most definitely.
Better. So Braxton better get out of there. Clemson at Georgia Tech. What you think about that?
Clemson and Georgia Tech. You know what? I believe the last couple of times Georgia Tech has played Clemson, they've won. Georgia Tech, that triple funky option. I can't stand that offense.
Yeah, it gives you fits.
But it's an effective if you have the right players running it. So I'm interested to see. Clemson has one of the top defenses in the nation.
Right.
So they're coming at you. They got Vic Beasley coming off the end. They got Jared in the middle, so they're stout up front.
Yeah.
There's nothing to play with. They got Mackenzie Alexander out there on the outside locking receivers down. So the team looks good. Stephon Anthony, linebacker in the middle, holding it down, coming downhill, making big plays. So I really want to see how the game's going to play out. Don't forget, the freshman phenom Deshaun Watson is coming back for Clemson.
I think Clemson may get this game for the simple fact that Georgia Tech, they like to run the ball, but they're running into that front seven of that Clemson defense. That is not an ordinary front seven. You run into the teeth of that, how about you go swimming with a great white and stick your head in his mouth too, because that's what you're going to be doing. That defense, that front seven, I'm rolling with Clemson on this one here. Deshaun's back. All right. Play with it if you want him.
Georgia Tech's going to get their yards, but I don't think they'll be able to score with Clemson.
No, I don't think they're going to be able to run like that. Not on that defense. Not on that seven.
And with Deshaun Watson back, he's going to spread the ball around. He's a dual-threat quarterback. The kid's going to be a phenom in the future.
Yeah, a lot of people are very excited about this kid right now. He has Clemson thinking a legitimate national championship before he leaves. Something I don't think Clemson fans ever realistically believed since they really won it in 1981.
Howard's Rock and the fans, they need it. They need it. The ACC needs it.
Well, they're on y'all side, so what, they gonna beat y'all or something like that?
I don't know. Florida State's already knocked off Clemson.
So you saying they'll never win a national championship? Well, not this year.
Not this year.
What
It won't
about
happen
next
this year.
What about next year, maybe? We'll
With,
gotta get that.
with Deshaun Watson under center,
Yeah.
anything is possible. The
You know,
the kid's going to be great.
He's a little upset with you guys, too, because he lost. He probably feel like he should have won last year, too. Or this year, he feel like he should have won the game.
He might have, but you know what? Win-loss column,
Yeah,
it doesn't lie, unfortunately. So we have another big-time ACC matchup in Virginia Tech and Duke. I don't want to say it's a big-time matchup for Virginia Tech because they're just flat out not good.
No. They've been losing everything. I don't know. I mean, I've heard they've been riddled with injuries. Duke, they're a fundamentally sound team. Cutcliffe, once again, they don't beat themselves. Decent quarterback. That kid, Anthony Connor, number 3 for Duke. He's lightning in the bottle. He will be playing on Sundays. He's dangerous. Duke, they have a nice defense. You know, they're making plays. They're winning. They're not beating themselves. They're just not saying Syracuse, everybody they've beaten have been good, but they're not going to beat themselves. And they're a consistent football team. You know, definitely consistent. So.
And don't forget, they have one of the top ACC receivers in Jamison Crowder catching the ball.
Right,
and he's nothing. I mean, he's consistent, if anything.
Right.
So, I mean, I look for Duke to win this game, and Duke might win this game big.
They could win. I mean, I don't think Virginia Tech poses a real threat. You know, Miami's beating both of these teams basically, but you know, Virginia Tech, they may surprise some people, but I don't really see much of them doing much. The quarterback play has been below the usual Virginia Tech credentials criteria, so I don't think they'll do much. I think Duke rolls. They win by a nice amount. Going along, we got TCU and Kansas. TCU had a big game against Kansas State last week. Now they got Kansas.
Gary Patterson always had his teams prepared.
Right.
TCU looks legit. Right now, I have TCU winning the Big 12. Personally, I think they're gonna run up, down, and all over Kansas.
Yeah, they may score 70 on Kansas.
80.
They may, unless they call off the dogs. But the thing is, I don't know if they can afford to call off the dogs because right now it's a beauty contest, style point. So you can't underestimate. You know, they may feel like Alabama, Oregon, you know, Florida State maybe. It's the reason I said maybe we'll get to that. And who else will TCU? But then again, like, you know, there's Ohio State trying to make a case if they win the Big Ten. You know, pretty much a conference championship looks good for the resume. You definitely want to win your conference if you want to have a case for the 14 playoff. Hands down.
And unfortunately, the Big 12, they don't have a conference championship.
They used to have it, right? Remember they used to have it back in the day.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, but they had it.
But, you know, not having it now is going to really hurt them when you're comparing resumes at the end of the season.
It would have been nice to see maybe a Baylor versus TCU, maybe Oklahoma, you know, another shot. Kansas State TCU rematch, maybe. You know, that was a nice. You know, Kansas State, we thought they were real, but not saying they're not good, but TCU kind of, you know, exposed to say the least.
And you know, like I said, Jake Waters for Kansas State is a really good quarterback. I think he's gonna be really good. But unfortunately, they ran into the TCU buzzsaw.
Yeah, I heard he's banged up right now. But then again, after you play TCU defense, you might be banged up if you weren't banged up before. If we thought you were banged up before, you're really banged up after playing that defense. So, you know, after they gave that one long play to Lockett, they pretty much broke it down for the most part. And the Kansas State can't do nothing after that. It was lights out.
TCU big over Kansas.
Big.
Meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes.
Well, we got Mississippi State.
Alabama.
I
got Alabama.
You got Alabama? You know what? I actually have Alabama too.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the can opens up. Zach Prescott's a great quarterback. I don't know if he can do it, if he's enough. I think Mississippi State pass defense is suspect.
Very
to
suspect.
me, it's suspect. After Kentucky went for an air show, and we're not talking about the basketball team with alley-oops and dunking. Kentucky with an air assault, you know, lining up for the onside kick. I mean, this is Kentucky. What are we doing right now?
You know what? I agree with you. I think that Mississippi State is going to be exposed. I think that Nick Saban has been preparing for this game, and Nick Saban is right now he's the best coach in college football. You know, bottom line, he's going to have his team ready to play. you know what, they're gonna test that secondary out. They're gonna see what they can do, and you know what, when they soften that defense up a little bit, after the Amari Cooper show comes to town, after they soften that defense up, they go into the ground on them.
I think what's gonna be interesting on that Mississippi State front seven defense versus the Alabama run game.
Oh,
But Mississippi State defense, that's front seven now. Secondary suspect, but that front seven, the boys bringing that wood now. They bringing that wood.
I think this is gonna be a powerhouse game. It's gonna be a great game. Like you say, I'm going with Alabama. I think that Blake Sims gets back on track.
He's fast.
I think he had a rough game against LSU.
Boy, Blake Sims fast.
I'm not sure if Yeldon's gonna be. I know Yeldon got injured against LSU. I'm not sure if he's gonna be back for the game, but Alabama has a stable of running backs. They can just keep throwing them in one by one and just keep going after you. So.
It's unfortunate the kid Drake got hurt earlier this year though. He was one of my favorite players on Alabama, but after that ankle injury, kind of horrific. So, you know, they have Henry back there at the tail. You know, D Hart transferred. D Hart's at Colorado State, right?
Yeah, D Hart wasn't getting any playing time.
But he's winning at Colorado State though. He's doing his thing. You know, he's trying to make it to the NFL. You know, with the Alabama resume, he's a smart kid. At Colorado State, they winning, and he's been having a nice. He's out of the Orlando area. D Hart was a high school All-American, all other good stuff coming out of high school, definitely. So, Auburn's playing Georgia this week. Todd Gurley's back with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's been holding it down. Sonny Michel came back last week. Isaiah McKenzie looking dynamic at punt return. Freshman. Georgia look like they're gonna be okay. You know, they got some studs. They have some real studs over there. You know, with Sonny, Nick, and Isaiah McKenzie, the little freshman trio. You know, watch out for these guys in a couple years to come. You know, definitely.
If you like to see running backs run for plenty of yards, then you need to watch this game.
Yeah.
Because Georgia's defense has given up plenty of rushing yards this year. Auburn's defense has given up plenty of rushing yards this year. Like you say, Georgia has Gurley back there. Gurley's going to be back. Gurley man, the best running back in the nation.
They're going to be hyped. They might come out in all black. You never know. You know, then Nick Marshall, Nick Marshall I think he's from Georgia too.
Nick Marshall, and don't forget, Cameron Artis-Payne back there, running back, he looks great.
Well, yeah, and they're coming off that loss last week to Texas A&M. It'll be interesting to see how they respond. They probably feel like the season's over. Was that Auburn's first loss of the year against Texas A&M?
That was Auburn's second loss of the year.
Oh no, because Mississippi State put it on them.
Yep, that was Auburn's second loss of the year.
Yeah, Auburn's pretty much out the playoffs, so we'll see if they still want to try to play for a decent bowl game. You know, taking a loss to Texas A&M, I don't think there's no way they make the 14 playoff, especially a two-team Auburn loss, trying to get in over Ohio State or a TCU or even a Baylor right now, who came with the gasoline last week on Oklahoma, in Oklahoma. Lit the match. My gosh. We all know how that finishes.
I also want to point out Auburn was pretty much a 22-point favorite over Texas A&M.
22-point favorite.
If you're a 22-point favorite, you should not lose to whichever team you are playing.
And Alabama beat that team 59-0.
Alabama,
and they're looking for get back for the Iron Bowl, so they're licking their chops in Tuscaloosa like, hey, I need to talk to you in the office, buddy. Let's get over here, please.
Unless Auburn figures out something with their defense, they're going to give up plenty of yards on the ground and through the air.
Notre Dame went to the woodshed this week with Arizona State. Got caught in the desert.
You know what?
Nobody's surprised.
You know what? People kept sleeping on the Big 12, the Pac-12 outside of Oregon, and Arizona State said, you know what? We're going to show y'all what the Pac-12 can do. And they went and they beat up on Notre Dame.
Pac-12, don't sleep on the Pac-12. Oregon, Arizona State, maybe UCLA. They didn't have a great showing against Virginia, but you can't underestimate coming from California to a trip cross country and then playing on a different time zone. Those guys from UCLA, they looked sleepy. They looked like they were 3 hours, behind on what their schedule what it usually was. But they still beat Virginia, but maybe that's the reason it wasn't as tough as before.
Speaking of that, I just want to put some of the blame. You got to put some of the blame on Everett Golson. People were calling him, Everett Golson looks like a machine. Everett Golson was a turnover machine. In the last 3 games, Everett Golson has accounted for what? Double-digit turnovers?
But that's
ridiculous.
But he doesn't have much help out there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the running back position looks okay. But I don't know how many weapons does he really have out there?
I like Corey Robinson, the receiver.
Is he nice?
David Robinson, the Admiral, his son.
Okay.
Big 6'4" kid. He's not 7 feet like his dad, but he probably wouldn't be playing football if he was 7 feet tall.
6'4" get a job.
Yeah, he looks good, but you know he has some key drops in the game also. It's not all on Everett Golson, but Everett Golson's been a turnover machine all season. You got to hold on to the ball. You got to give your team a chance to win. You got to limit your turnovers, and you got to play smart football and make big plays.
Is this his last year or no?
Everett Golson?
He got about 1 more year maybe?
Well, he was out last year.
He was out last
so
year.
I believe he has another year.
Well, that'd be good if he get 1 more year, maybe try to get to the NFL. He's, building his name up a little bit. They got their eyes on him. It'd be interesting to see how this kid evaluates, if he projects to the next level or if he just fizzles out. But, it's going to be interesting with this. I like him. Yeah, I think he can be nice, but we'll see if he'll be an NFL prototype quarterback.
We'll see how things work out. Don't forget, Notre Dame was being talked about as one of the one-loss teams that can make the playoff.
I don't know what that was all about.
That's over
lies,
now.
Yeah.
That's over now.
Lies of social media.
I don't know if their spirits were broken after they lost to a close one to Florida State, and they just said
put us in there.
Or Arizona State came and said, give me what's ours.
The lies. And
we're just going to beat you down.
Notre Dame never really impressed me like that anyway this year. They never struck me as North Carolina scored 43 on the guys, so they won like 50 to 43.
Yeah,
so.
they definitely. I remember the shootout with North Carolina. That was a back and forth game.
Shootout with Carolina. And we're not talking about basketball.
Roy Williams, North Carolina basketball. What's up?
What can we say? I don't know what to say about that. LSU, Arkansas, for the most part.
Arkansas still hasn't won a conference game in the last 55,000 years.
You think they win it this week?
No.
No, I don't. Not against LSU. I don't. LSU with that tough loss to Alabama, they might catch them licking their wounds. Coming in, you're a little upset. Lost to Bama overtime. Think the season's over. Arkansas thirsty for a win.
Arkansas been thirsty for a win since before we were born.
Oh, they're thirsty now. They're thirsty for a conference win, but they got Alex Collins. They got a dynamic running game. They just in the SEC West. They get that one SEC win. It's gonna be a hell of a party in Arkansas.
And don't forget, LSU still doesn't have a quarterback. It doesn't matter who they line up. LSU does not have a quarterback. The quarterback is not good. Jennings is not the answer at quarterback for them.
The freshman? Is it freshman?
I don't think Jennings is a freshman.
Who was the freshman that just came over there?
Whoever they line up behind the center, under center.
Why we can't get a real quarterback at LSU? What's the problem? Is it less?
Because they recruiting all running backs.
They put running backs at quarterback.
Just from Blue to Leonard Fournette. They just throwing waiver running back at you, but they're not throwing the ball.
But how you got these receivers and you can't even get who?
Malachi Dupree is gonna be a star.
If he can get a quarterback,
he's gonna be a star. I'm actually thinking about going out there and playing quarterback for him. I'm just gonna lob it up to him, see if he can go get it.
Might have to, Nick.
I can do it.
His stock is falling right now.
I can't be much worse than the current quarterback. So
I don't know. We'll see what's going on. We'll be back to you guys shortly.
You know how we do it, we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through, no slacking. Make it happen, we grinding hard. We grinding hard. You know how we do it, we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through, no slacking. Make it happen, we grinding hard. we grinding hard. You know how we do when we have funky music in our ear. We get to writing, ain't no fighting, we just in there trying to win. Ooh yeah, la-di-da, we grinding hard. Ooh yeah, we not gonna stop. Yeah, 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 yeah. Too late to turn back now. I got work to do. On a mission, by my business, I'm pushing through, I'm pushing.